Welcome to another edition of Entertainment Talk with Claypool, where we invite guests and celebrities from the film, television, and music industries, and a variety of genres from those industries. Today we have a very special guest, and actually this is the first time I've been able to talk to this gentleman, but he is an extremely knowledgeable man on the film industry in the Austin, Texas, and Texas as a whole. So please welcome Brian Gannon. Welcome, Brian. Appreciate you joining the show today.
Thanks for having me, Clay.
You bet. You bet. So looking over your resume, I'm very impressed. You have been in this industry since a teenager, I think, because looking at your resume, I noticed that, you had went to University of Wisconsin. You got a Bachelor of Arts in English and Film Production. And then you went on to become a production manager for Texas Film Commission, right? And then you became content producer and operations manager. Was that also for the?
No, that was with a museum design company called Paul Bernhardt Exhibits. They
okay.
The local company here in Austin. The company's no longer around, but they designed the Gem and Mineral Hall for the Perot Museum up in Dallas.
Nice.
They did the whole remodel at the Houston Museum of Science.
So you but you had worked with the Texas Film Commission, and then you went to this company, and then you went back to the Film Commission?
Yeah, so when I went back, I went to the City Film Commission, the Austin Film Commission.
Okay, because then you became the Music, Film, and Tourism Marketing Manager. Then you were the Director of Film Marketing and Austin Film Commissioner. And now you are currently the Senior Director of Film Marketing and Media Assets for Visit Austin, and specifically the Austin Film Commission.
That's correct. Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on
Thanks.
a very impressive resume and career. Your current position, basically, you've been promoted to this position within the last couple of years, I believe.
Yeah, and it's just a build on what I've been doing before with the organization. So the biggest changes I now produce. If you get a tourism video from Austin, I help to produce those too on top of the film commission work.
Awesome. So does the well, let me back up a little bit. So, I seen what you went to, college and got your degree in. So have you ever done anything else, or was this your passion in high school and went right into college?
It's definitely always been a passion. I washed dishes at 13 in my family's restaurant. I bartended through college. I think the hospitality industry, it lends itself to every other industry one could work in, from just communication to, your management of product and making sure that, you're stocked and you're staffed. And it's like the building block for everything in my world, at least.
Exactly. So your family had a restaurant?
Yeah, they had a restaurant in Wisconsin. It was called The Pub. It was an Irish gastro pub. So,
nice.
Yeah, it was. We're first generation. My parents and I was actually born in Ireland. Family immigrated when I was in just starting elementary school. So,
nice.
They had a restaurant for about 22 years, and they retired a few years ago. But yeah, it was for the family business. We all worked there.
I think that a lot of people in the film, television industries, that is a side gig for them,
Absolutely.
because it's, until you can, have enough income from the film and television industry, a lot of people work side jobs, part-time jobs, and the restaurant industry. And I know that because, our sponsor, the Toasted Yolk Cafe, we sometimes have employees that are musicians and comedians, and some that are actors that are working to become, full-time, but the money's not there. So very, very good employees to have, because they're entertaining to the rest of the staff.
And the employees are they're your forward face too, and if you got a musician or an actor, you know that it's someone that's going to be no problem kind of having a good rapport with anyone.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about the Austin Film Commission. What is the heartbeat of the Austin Film Commission as far as what is their goal? What is their um, you know um, agenda? What is the organization main purpose?
Yeah, so the film commission's been around since about 1986, and the very basic version of what we do is we bring production to Austin. We market the city as a destination for film, television, and commercial production, and in this modern age, more than that with TikTok, social media, and all these other video platforms. But then the other thing we do is we work as an advocate. So when productions are shooting in town, we guide them. We don't issue permits, but we guide them to whatever entity it might be that's that could be a city street or sidewalk, county roads, state highways, state parks, county parks. There's a whole lot of different entities that permit for public properties, and then we make sure that they're if it the nice thing about Texas is if you're on a private property, there's generally uh, no permitting necessary. It's just a deal between the property owner and the production. But obviously, if
Right.
there's props and weapons, kind of stunt work, there could be some additional permitting just for safety, which is in this industry is always a good thing.
So what all types of permitting are required if a production company wants to do a feature film in the greater Austin area or in the city limits of Austin? What types of permit do you have to have a permit to even produce do a film project?
Austin's really open. If you're producing something and you're not in a public property, you're generally not going to need a permit unless you're doing something like pyrotechnics or you have
Right.
weapons, things of that nature. You're doing stunt work like a chase. With if you're in the city right away, which is basically like a street, sidewalk, or alley, you'd need a permit for that, and it's all down to liability. The great thing with Austin is part of the way we incentivize production, and this has been, I think, about 15 years ago. Uh, they instigated that there's no fee for permits. So when you go to
Hmm.
LA, it's like $800 a permit, no matter if you're in
Good
your own
grief.
house filming or if you're on a street. In Austin,
It
the
takes
the
some independent people. That's half their budget.
I know it's a really hard thing to start if you're up against that. So yeah, Austin has waived the permit application fees. There's incurred costs that can happen. So if you're closing a city street, you obviously need to hire police officers. You need to work and get an engineering plan with a road company. Things like that, just for re-guiding traffic. That if you're buying up parking spots, that there's incurred costs. But if you're a really
Right.
small production and you're well planned, you should be able to utilize that public property without really having to spend a ton of money.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
know that. I mean, that the city of Austin, the public property, could be utilized for filming. That's a
yeah,
great thing for production companies to know, and to a great
yeah,
asset to be able to utilize.
yeah. It's one of
So
my favorite things. Yeah,
with the Austin Film Commission, I'm curious is that I've always hear statements about how Texas can't get major productions here like California or like Atlanta. Does other film commissions work together? So like the Houston Film Commission, do they work with Austin Film Commission? Um, does the Dallas have a film commission? I would imagine Dallas or Dallas Fort Worth combined. Do they have a film commission? And is there other film commissions in the state of Texas? Because I just mentioned the major cities.
we probably have the most film commissions as a state. Well, obviously we're a bigger state than most, so um,
Right.
we have a film commission in El Paso, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Corpus Christi, Brownsville, I believe, is starting one. Uh,
Interesting.
I'm I'm missing one or two, but yeah, we have a lot of film commissions throughout the state, and we do partner with them on usually activations, like activations at a film festival or in the LA market if we want to do something a little bigger to kind of garner attention from the industry. That we partner with them just better that we pool our resources and our goal is to market Texas, and then our goal in reality is to market Austin specifically. But if we can get them looking at Texas, then we can get them to zero in on Austin or as the other film commissioners that do for their cities. So that's kind of where we partner with them. We also in the push for competitive incentives at the state level during the legislative session, we all work together quite a bit to push that agenda because as you said, since about around 2000, I think Canada was the first to do it. They instigated an incentive to bring production in. Basically, I think the Canadian dollar was weak, and they're trying to find ways to keep that production that was fleeing to other areas.
Wow.
Since then, my predecessor phrased the term "the arms race" because it really is. It's whichever state kind of has the best incentive is the one that production is zeroed in on, and it kind of fluctuates. Georgia obviously has built up a huge industry. New Mexico.
Yeah. So what is Georgia? I mean, because Georgia's been very successful of attracting film, television production. I was in Georgia for about a 3-month stay, and it was like, I mean, there's production studios all over the place, and new ones were. This was back in 2017, 2018. At that time, there was just a lot of new production studios being built and a lot of major films being produced there. And what have they done that has attracted so much production into that state versus Texas?
I guess the big thing they've so one of the great things about living in Texas is we have no state income tax, and so they've leveraged using state income tax to build up they have a tax credit program there, and it's just been a very consistent program. Whereas we have a great program here in Texas. It's just the funding has ebbed and flowed. And I would say this year we're in a whole different world. We have $200 million funding towards the program coming out of this previous legislative session. And what's amazing about Texas's program is it's a cash grant. So once they've audited your books, you get a check. You don't have to go sell a tax credit. You literally get your 22. If you're getting the max, you're getting 22.5% back.
That's good.
Yeah. And then Austin has a smaller incentive too, a sweetener. You can get up to 0.75% back. And that one, they're both very much workforce development programs. So the City of Austin program is based on wages paid to local residents, and then the promotion of Austin within a production. And it's been a very helpful kind of sales tool. Especially considering how much spend a production brings to a region. You get your. So is
the new Texas, the most recent Texas legislation, the incentives for the film industry, is this an increase of a previous, or is this pretty much same across the board? Are we seeing more going towards more incentives towards the film industry?
Yeah, so it's the same program that we've had historically since about 2007. But the budget towards the program, that's always been the having more budget for the program, so they're able to continue to grant recipients for a longer period of time and for bigger budget shows because they've got more money in their budget for it. I think it's about 4 times as much as what was budgeted previously.
That's good.
Yeah, and a lot of that, we've had major success here in Austin, but throughout the state, going back to how big Texas is,
Mm-hmm.
you've got a legislature that's diverse. It's small communities, urban communities, um, and so we've seen production spread. So it's not just the Austin area or the Dallas area that's
Right.
seeing production. Midlothian has The Chosen filming up there. In Waco, Chip and Joanna have the
Oh
Silos
yeah.
and their Magnolia Empire. And what's amazing is Magnolia has surpassed, or Waco, I should say, due to Magnolia, has surpassed the Alamo as the #1 tourist destination. So the folks that are watching their shows
Yeah.
are coming in droves to visit the silos. And then you've got someone like Taylor Sheridan, who's a Texan who's kind of come back to Texas, similar to how Robert Rodriguez and Richard Linklater said, "Hey, we're going to make our films at home. We don't need to go to California." Um,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of we're
Well,
seeing that.
what's interesting about, I mean, Texas has every type of landscape
Oh
imaginable
yeah,
for any film, and you can get any type of climate. I mean, because we have the mountains, in the El Paso area, so you can have, or you got the flat plains in certain parts of Texas. You got the Panhandle where it's winter,
yeah.
true winter. You
You
got the
don't have to leave.
beaches.
It's
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's a
what's
couple of incentives that I seen on some literature that I was looking up, and maybe you can
yeah.
expand on some of these here. One is called the Texas Moving Image Industry Incentive Program, and the other one is called the Austin Creative Content Incentive Program.
So those
Are
are
those still current? Are those
yeah.
still part of what you have just discussed?
Yeah, those are the two programs that I'd mentioned. Yeah, so the
Okay.
TMIP, or the Texas Moving Industry Image Incentive Program, that's the big state program, and then the Austin Creative is the localized one. And there's actually a couple uh, other kind of savings too. Something that any production can apply for. You could be a $10 production or a $10 million production. The comptroller's office has a tax exemption form, and it's basically goods that are purchased for direct use in the production. So it could be paint, things you use to build sets, whatever it might be that you're using for the production on camera. Is tax free, and you basically just print out a piece of paper. You're going to the hardware store to buy lumber for building
Right.
sets. You present it. It's pretty amazing. Hotel occupancy tax is waived if you're, and this is for anyone, but it applies to production quite a bit. If you're doing 30 nights consecutive in a hotel, there's the option, if you've filled out the paperwork, that you can get your hotel occupancy tax waived. And then there's generator fuel. Obviously, every set, that's a lot of what
Yep.
films here locally. We get a lot of studio work, but there's a lot of stuff that's filming on location because, as you said, we have so many great aesthetics, diverse looks. People are out on location, so you can get that fuel tax back.
The Toasted Yolk Cafe, located in Cedar Park, Texas, where Fridays all our mimosas are 50% off all day long. Come and try one of our mimosas made from our newly introduced Toasted Yolk Champagne. Try the refreshing apple mimosa, the tangy and bright cranberry mimosa, the fruity grapefruit mimosa, the fresh orange juice mimosa. Cool yourself down with our famous strawberry orange mimosa, or try the tropical pineapple mimosa. And let's not forget our frozen mimosas. The #1 day of the week to take off work is Fridays. Come and enjoy breakfast, brunch, or lunch with 50% off a mimosa at the Toasted Yolk Cafe, located at 14105 Ronald Reagan Boulevard in Cedar Park, Texas. Hope to see you there soon.
So is there because at the end of our show, we like to put some websites that can connect to, the Austin Film Commission, or is maybe you can share that after the show with us of what that site would be, that they might be able to find those forms, because that's very. I don't think a lot of people. I've never heard of that before, and I think a lot of people would be very. That would be very beneficial for a lot of people in Texas, because there is a big independent film industry in Texas.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's what Austin was built on. Independent
Yep.
film. Yeah, it's a fun. I'd like to delve into the history of it sometimes myself and just do research on. We track everything that's shot here over the years on our website, and it's really unique looking at it because it's in the mid '70s it kind of just took off a little bit. There were a couple regional films, one being the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah.
and then one being the whole shoot and match. That's a movie that's not been seen by a lot of folks, but it was Robert Redford saw it, and it kind of gave him the thought, I need to find a platform for these small independent films to be seen. And he started Sundance partly because he saw that movie and he thought more people should see this. But those two are kind of like, they speak to we've had a lot of horror movies since Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We've had a lot of independent films. So it's funny that those are the two first big ones because they kind of reflect what's come after. And throughout the rest of the 70s, we started seeing Hollywood looking to Austin and seeing, hey, this is cost effective. There's a small crew base there. There's all these diverse locations within 30 minutes of downtown. You got your, hill country that's rugged. You have your farmland to the east that's kind of all Americana. You can get your cornfields. You can get your small towns. And then you've got the city center itself, which has been built up over different decades. So it's got a number of different looks. And this crew base started to grow because of more production coming through and them getting experience. And then, Willie Nelson, the kind of Renaissance man he started shooting movies as well as, making music. And throughout the 80s, we had kind of this is going to date me. Like, I remember these fondly, the made for TV movies. You get your Monday night movie or your Sunday night movie that, Tornado, or it was usually a knockoff of whatever was big at the box office, done kind of inexpensively.
I remember those too.
We were a home base for those throughout the 80s and early 90s. It was, people knew they could come in on budget, on time, and look good in Austin. And if you're bringing in, your talent, it's a nice place to be. Home away from home. You got comfortable hotels, you got direct flights, and you got live music every night of the week.
Oh yeah. And Austin is because you're mentioning some of the the history back in the 70s, 80s, and and now we're talking 40, 50 years later. Austin has exploded in population, and it's several of the suburbs around Austin are some of the fastest growing cities in the United States. But with that, there's also more production companies are building studios here.
Yeah.
So what do you know about production studios? I mean, how many do you know how many production studios are around? But I guess there's different. I'm in a production studio right now, and it's not geared for major feature films. It's mainly geared for talk show, podcast, that type of stuff. But I hear of major production studios coming to Bastrop and like San Marcos. And can you share a little bit about what you know about some of the production companies, production studios coming to the area?
Yeah, so that's a thing that's grown astronomically, which is great because when we don't have studios, it's kind of having to go and find warehouses that are willing to, most of them want a long-term lease and trying to, have the conversation that it'd be a really good thing if you put these folks in for 9 months. They just want to shoot this feature, but having the studio space is part of what allows us to bring more production in. So we've got a little over 20 facilities. Like you said, probably about 80% are geared towards kind of podcasting, commercials, a little smaller scale. And then the bigger spaces like your Austin studios, Troublemaker Studios, ATX Studios, those are kind of generally where the bigger feature and television / streaming shows land, just because they need 50 to 100,000 square feet. Easily they could take up more than that if it's there. And so, yeah, those facilities have allowed us to bring in larger scale projects more easily. We can still bring them in. It's just having to find that warehouse is not ideal, especially when you've got a studio that has all of the amenities that would be needed, and they've got vendors. That's one of the big things that's kind of kept production here is we have vendors that, may stock equipment for bigger shows, but then independent film was allowed to utilize that at a much better rate and not having to bring it in from out of town, because it's just this amazing ecosystem at play. Yeah. So yeah, with the studios, there's a couple that have popped up in the last few years, which are really interesting. Co-Production House in South Austin was the first volume stage in Texas. And then about a year ago, Stray Vista opened in Dripping Springs, and they've brought the VU volume technology to town. So those are two really cutting edge studios that we have. And then you mentioned before the new studios. So they have not broken ground yet, but there's a studio in Bastrop from the folks that own Line 204 out in LA. They're looking to open a studio. They've kind of started the process with the city and the county of Bastrop, and they're moving along to hopefully break ground this year. And then similarly, down in San Marcos, Hill Country Studios, they're in the same phase with the city of San Marcos. We're hoping to see groundbreak this year, and yeah, hopefully we will have if we talk again next year, we'll be talking about these new studios.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think because I've heard about those two major production studios. Yeah. I think I heard about them like a year ago. Yeah. And I know that, the announcement doesn't mean that you're going to see a studio next week, because these types
the development process is always,
it is long. Yeah. It can take a long time before you ever break ground. I mean, it could be 2 years, 3 years. I mean, it just depends on the complexity of it, and, economy can postpone things, and, COVID that can postpone things. And there's things that happen. So yeah, strike for sure.
Well, just the they've got to get roads and sewer and all the different utilities right up.
All the utilities in place.
That's a lot of work.
Anything even starts going up, all the in-ground stuff.
Yeah.
So part of your position is you have to be pretty knowledgeable on a lot of the genres of film and productions, and so I noticed behind you have what looks like a lot of films. Yeah. So
that's my hobby.
Is that your homework?
No, that's just my hobby. That's just there's certain movies where I'm like I things that I've collected for a long time, and I'm of the mindset, things can be on streaming, but they can also disappear off streaming. So if it's a movie I love, really, it's almost like collecting vinyl. You kind of want the physical copy.
Yep. Yeah, I used to have, I think, a lot of us, we had, a collection of VHS tapes, of films, the Blockbuster video store, and we used to buy and then those went away, and then everything went to DVD, and of course you can still buy DVD, but they're just not as popular as they were. Yeah. Streaming is everything. And, but you can buy, you can pay for a film, right. And download it and save it, but it's still going to be digital. I'm like you, I like a DVD that I can just pop in and play it that way. I'm kind of old school, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't miss the VHS. I miss the DVDs.
Yeah,
I like
same. The DVDs are and it's one of the cool things about living here in Austin. We have so many. My other favorite thing is and I think everyone's favorite way to see a movie is in the theater, and we've got so many festivals locally. As you said, like picking a genre. What's great with our festival scene is, on last count, we're about 27 film festivals, I believe. So it's almost every weekend there's a film festival in Austin.
I actually have a list of them.
Oh yeah, nice. And that's
because
something
when I was doing my study, and I was like, oh my gosh. Personally, I mean, I live here in the Austin area, and I didn't realize there was this many film festivals. I mean, most of us know of, South by Southwest. That's the biggest film festival in, for Austin. It's the biggest one in Texas, and it's one of the, if not the biggest one in the U.S. Because it's a major attraction.
Yeah.
So,
and weeks away at this point. I can't believe how it's coming fast.
Oh yeah, Austin. I mean, the South by Southwest. When one ends, they're already starting to plan the next one, because it takes an army to put something like that on, that big of an event.
It does,
because it attracts so many people, and there's so many people involved. That's either showing their product, their production, or selling stuff, or whatever the case may be. Got to have
the beauty of it. It's a great platform, but it's also, if you just love movies, it's a great destination to be in a theater with other people that have similar tastes. And
yes,
I just love that.
I think that a movie experience is totally different when you're in a theater on a big screen, the sound, because what you experience is you're experiencing a group experience. So when other people laugh, it almost makes others laugh, right? So the group as a whole experiences it, and and the same with whether it's an emotional scene or whatever the case may be. It's you can kind of just feel the spirit in the theater as a whole. So I hope that never goes away. I think that's my favorite way of seeing a film, is in a theater. And then of course nowadays we have streaming, and to me it's not as good of an experience, but with technology, you can pretty much have your own home theater nowadays. But,
oh yeah. What's great with streaming too is the streaming brings content all over the world. We've had folks call from Scotland that they saw Friday Night Lights and they wanted to know where it filmed because they were planning a trip to Austin. So we've had tourists come in from Japan who, similar thing, they were like, where did the Coen brothers shoot Blood Simple? It's organically kind of promoting the city in a really, really fantastic way, and it's just bringing Austin talent and content to every corner of the earth, which is you can't ask for better.
Well, if anybody wants to know anything about the Austin Film Commission and Productions, and any of the film festivals that are here in the Austin area, all that's available on Visit Austin, is it?
Visit Austin, and then if you just go to austinfilmcommission.com, it'll take you to our website. We've got we've got film tourism on there, so if you want to find out where stuff shot, we've got our filmography, but more importantly, we've got a crew directory. So if you're crew here in Austin, it's free to list in the directory. So if productions then are looking for, and if you're producing something too, it's where you can search for crew members, everything from PAs to producers. We have a location hub on there. So if you have, you have used, we have,
my restaurant is listed as a location. Okay. Haven't been selected yet, but I listed my restaurant in on your site.
We appreciate you doing that. And anyone who has a business or a residence that you want people to come film, you can speak to it. I think it's a pretty easy upload, and it's then in a searchable directory. So if you're a filmmaker and you're looking for locations, they're on there, or you can call us directly and we can kind of give you a little guidance. That's what we're here for, is to help make it happen. It's everything you kind of need really is. I like to keep it as public facing as possible. So if you have questions,
so if a person's looking for, because I'm interested, like this is just me, but other listeners may have interest in this, is if you're a small company and you're looking to do a commercial of some sort for either social media, or you want to stream it on a network. Is your production companies listed by, what they specialize in? Whether, some production companies do specialize in doing types of commercials, and some are strictly, production companies for film and television. So are they categorized that way?
Yeah, they're you can filter through them. And then what's nice is, part of the listing, we make sure if you're listing in a certain category that we want you to have at least one credit within that category. So if you're looking for production companies, you can kind of see a resume of all their previous work.
Okay.
Same with any crew position. We just try to make sure everything's transparent as far as making sure you get the best person for your production.
Yeah, I mean, the more information that that you're able to provide, the better for any and all in the industry, because it attracts that interest of being plugged into the Austin market, and I would say Austin is probably the number one city in the state of Texas for film production. We do more here than Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Houston. I think we do more than those cities, and not downplaying anything about those cities and their productions, because I've been to those cities before involved in productions. But Austin's just it seems like Austin is film. It's film, television, music, and technology. That's Austin nowadays.
We are a collaborative film community, and we wouldn't be the city we were without the filmmakers that are on every level working here. It's we just placed number 4 on Movie Maker magazine's list of best cities to live in as a filmmaker in North America, which is an extremely proud moment.
That's great.
For the whole community. I feel like it
and that's
shows. All of
North America?
It is, yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
Big honor. Yeah. I will I definitely was, when I saw it, I was so proud of all the work that everyone is doing locally to make Austin the destination it is.
And that's something that the Austin Film Commission can use for promoting, and continuing to grow the area.
Yeah.
So, Brian, as we get close to wrapping up, I always like to leave it into my guests if they have any closing comments that would encourage, that would be a golden nugget for just the viewers, the listeners that are interested in producing a film in the Austin area, because you're a great source of information. Maybe if you could direct where they could get questions answered with a website, an email, something of that nature. But could you share just as we get ready to close here?
Yeah, I would say we're happy to help any production of any level. Feel free to reach out, and we have a number of resources, as I mentioned previously, like vendors, studio facilities. If you're looking for film festivals to attend or to enter in, if you want details on permits and regulations, and all our contact details right there, austinfilmcommission.com. We'd love to have more filming in Austin, and anything we can do to help. Please don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Well, Brian, I definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, because,
Thank you.
By looking at what you oversee, you have a plate full. And
it's a Swiss Army knife. It's we do it all.
All right.
So that we want production to be easy here in Austin, and it's we want everyone working.
For those of us in the whether we're actors or cinematographers or makeup, wardrobe, whatever, from all of us, we appreciate what you do, and we appreciate the Austin Film Commission because it really helps everybody. So with that, we will close with what I always close with, which is, great it is to dream the dream when you stand in youth by the starry stream. But greater it is to fight life through and say at the end, the dream is true. Keep pursuing your dreams and check out Austin Film Commission, where maybe you can make your dream come true with your next production. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Entertainment Talk with Claypool.